My parents skipped my baby shower to vacation with my sister. She's real family, Mom texted. I replied, fine. Expect consequences. That afternoon she tried pulling $2,400 from my account. I closed every card she had access to. 2 hours later she called me nonstop, but it was too late. I did more. I was folding tiny onesies on the couch when the text came in. I almost didn't check it. I was in a good mood. Tired, achy, 34 weeks pregnant, but genuinely happy. The baby shower was that afternoon. My best friend, my husband's mom, and my 2 aunts had planned every detail. Pink and gold balloons, a surprise cake shaped like a teddy bear, even a photo wall with our last names spelled out in fresh flowers. My husband was in the kitchen, humming while arranging a tray of mini quiches and deviled eggs. He had even ironed his shirt that morning. That's how seriously we were taking it. It wasn't just a party. It felt like a rite of passage, a marker that said, you're about to become parents. People were flying in, sending gifts, offering help. Except, of course, my parents. I checked my phone only because I heard the buzz. I wasn't expecting anything unusual, maybe a last-minute congrats or a "do you need anything?" from my mom. Instead I saw this. Well, we won't make it. Your sister booked a surprise trip to Napa. You know how she gets when she wants something. She's real family. Don't guilt me. I read it twice. Then I read it again. Real family. That one sentence hit harder than anything I'd expected. I had been quietly holding on to hope they'd show up at the last minute. That they'd surprise me, hug me, maybe even cry a little. But instead they packed bags with my sister and went wine tasting like this wasn't one of the biggest days of my life. And then that sentence, she's real family. I didn't say anything to my husband at first. I just put the phone down and kept folding the onesies. A minute later I picked it back up and texted back. Fine. Expect consequences. I didn't tell anyone at the shower. People were walking through the door with gifts and warm hugs. My husband's mom brought an extra cake shaped like a baby bassinet. My husband's dad set up a camera to record everything so we could watch it later when the baby was born. Everyone was so present, so generous. Except my side. They didn't even send a card. Then, in the middle of the shower, right after my husband's grandmother gave us a handmade quilt with the baby's initials embroidered on it, I got a fraud alert from my bank. There had been an attempt to pull $2,400 from my checking account. At first I panicked. I thought my account had been hacked. I walked quietly into the guest bathroom and opened my banking app. But it wasn't fraud. It was my mom. She had used one of the credit cards I'd forgotten she still had access to. A card I hadn't touched in months. Here's maybe. She didn't try just once, she tried 3 times. On 3 separate cards. One of them was connected to my husband's joint account. That's when the calm inside me cracked. She had tried to rob me. During my baby shower. On the very same day she ditched me for wine country with my sister. I didn't cry. I didn't get emotional. I got quiet. I locked every account. Cancelled every card. Changed every password. Closed every leak she had access to, ones I had left open because I was still trying to be a good daughter. Because I still believed she'd come through. 2 hours later I had 16 missed calls. Then 23. Then texts. Why are the cards not working? I just needed to move some money, don't be dramatic. I'm still your mother. You owe me after everything I've done. She left a voicemail after that last one. I didn't listen to it. I just deleted it. My husband saw me sitting on the edge of our bed when I came out of the bathroom. He didn't ask questions. He had that look he gets when he's already figured something out. When I told him, he didn't say anything for a second. Then he said it. Let's shut them down completely. And we did. But that was just the beginning. What came next they didn't expect. By the next morning I had 37 missed calls. 9 voicemails. Half of them from my mom, the rest split between my dad and my sister. The texts were worse. My sister started with, "This is ridiculous." Then, "It's just money, Ella. You're acting like we stole from a stranger." And then the one that really landed. "You're not the victim here. Grow up." My mom chimed in later that night. "You made this bigger than it is. I told you your sister surprised us. She's family too, you know." That word again. Family. I didn't reply. I didn't need to. I just watched as everything they were leaning on started to crumble. First it was the health insurance. My dad had been out of work for nearly a year, and after months of hearing my mom cry about their rising bills, I'd quietly set them up on our family's health plan through my husband's company. She didn't know how it worked, just that the copays were suddenly smaller and the meds cheaper. That stopped immediately. They were standing at a CVS when it declined. My dad's blood pressure medication. My mom's thyroid pills. Denied. She left me a voicemail from the parking lot. Said I was putting their health at risk. Said this was childish. Then came the gas bill. Internet. The Amazon Prime membership she used like it was her own. The credit card I'd capped for emergencies. Closed. My accountant froze the automatic payments I'd been sending to their mortgage every 2 months. It was like pulling the foundation out from under their house brick by brick. And still, no apology. Just denial. Just more blaming. My husband's family, meanwhile, saw everything with brutal clarity. His dad, who barely speaks at family dinners, said, "They can't bite your hand and expect dessert after." His mom called me privately and said if they tried to show up after the baby was born, she'd handle it herself. And she would've. She doesn't bluff. But it wasn't just their anger. It was my husband. He'd never been more serious in his life. That weekend, while I was lying on the couch with my feet up and a heating pad on my back, he opened his laptop and went through every account we shared, closed access to everything with my family's name on it. Made sure even the old passwords I barely remembered weren't connected to any card they could use. Then he sat beside me and said, "She's not going to grow up thinking any of this is normal. Not your mom, not your sister. She deserves better." That hit me in a way nothing else had. Because he wasn't just talking about the baby. He was talking about me. The final blow came the following week. My sister posted a carousel of photos from the trip to Napa. Wine glasses. Spa robes. Her and my mom laughing by a fire pit with matching sunglasses. One photo was captioned, "Napa baby showers TBH." And underneath it my mom had commented, "Best decision we ever made." I stared at that comment for a long time. I screenshotted it. Sent it to my husband. No words. Just the image. He replied, "Let's pull the retirement contributions too." I didn't even ask. Just nodded. We'd been sending money into their joint IRA every month. Quietly. An arrangement we never talked about out loud. My mom used to say it was just until things settle. Things had never settled. But that was over now. 3 weeks passed. Then my dad called. Not to apologize. Not to make amends. But because the checks had stopped. He didn't even try to hide it. Just said, "We noticed the account's empty. There must be a mistake." I didn't answer. But he didn't give up. He called my husband. That was his mistake. I only heard my husband's side from the other room. Come. Short sentences. Then this. "Don't ever put my wife in this position again. You made your choice. Live with it." Then he hung up. The silence that followed was strange. At first it felt like peace. But it didn't last. Because when their money ran out, they did something I still can't believe. Something they thought would bring everything back to normal. Instead, they humiliated themselves. And they did it in front of every single person who mattered. Started with a Facebook post. I was 8 months pregnant, exhausted, and barely able to roll out of bed without grunting like a dying walrus. My phone buzzed and I saw a message from my aunt that just said, "What is this?" Attached was a screenshot of a post from my mom. She had written a public plea on one of those local community pages she followed. The kind where people sell used furniture or share yard sale times. But her post wasn't about a lost cat or free lawn chairs. It was titled, "In need of support. Our family is struggling." She wrote that my dad had lost his job. That they were facing financial collapse. That someone had unexpectedly removed access to our accounts. No name, but very clear who she meant. She said their younger daughter, my sister, had recently suffered a major personal loss, and that they were emotionally and financially exhausted. She described me only as our estranged eldest daughter, who has unfortunately cut off communication. And then came the kicker, a big bold line. "Any help is appreciated. Venmo at support our family." I sat there staring at it for a full 5 minutes. I didn't know whether to laugh or scream. It was all worded to sound like I'd turned my back on them for no reason, like I was some spoiled rich daughter punishing her poor helpless parents out of spite. Nothing about the baby shower. Nothing about the $2,400 theft. Nothing about the years of quietly paying their bills while they posted vacation pictures and treated my sister like royalty. I didn't respond publicly. I didn't want to give them what they wanted, a reaction. But word spread fast. A cousin called me 20 minutes later, completely stunned. He said, "Did something happen? I thought you and your mom were close." By that evening my husband's family had all seen it. His dad was livid. His mom called me and said, "I'm sorry, but your mother's not just selfish, she's dangerous." Then my husband saw it. He walked over to the dining table, opened his laptop and typed for a few minutes. I didn't know what he was doing until I saw the post later. He wrote, "If someone uses a distorted version of the truth to make you feel guilty, it's not a cry for help. It's emotional extortion. Don't donate to people who leave out entire chapters of their story." He didn't tag anyone. He didn't have to. Within 2 hours my mom deleted her post. But the damage was already done. I thought they'd take the hint. That they'd be quiet for a while. But when desperation kicks in, people like them get bolder. The next day, I got a message from an old high school friend I hadn't talked to in years. "Hey, just saw your mom's GoFundMe. Everything okay?" I nearly dropped my phone. She created a full-blown GoFundMe campaign. The same sob story, abandoned by family, facing eviction, supporting a daughter through trauma. It had pictures of them looking solemn in their living room. She even added one of my sister wiping her eyes in what looked like a staged cry. They raised $180 in the first day. 2 donations came from people who used to work with my dad. That night, my husband's mom called a quiet dinner at their place. Just a small get-together for close family and friends before the baby came. He invited my parents. I was surprised, honestly. But she said, "I want this out in the open. I want to see how far they're willing to go." They showed up. My dad brought a cheap bottle of wine. My mom acted like everything was normal. Smiled. Complimented the decorations. Sat down like she hadn't just accused me of abandoning her online. Halfway through the dinner, my husband's mom stood up and raised a glass. "I just want to say how grateful we are for everyone's support during this time. And I want to clear the air since there's been a lot of confusion lately." The room went dead quiet. Then she turned to my mom and said calmly, "Why did you try to withdraw $2,400 from Ella's bank account the day of her baby shower?" My mom blinked, smiled again. I watched her grip her wine glass tighter. "That's been cleared up," she said. "It was all a big misunderstanding. We're past that now." That's when my husband stood up. "No, we're not. We moved past you." Silence. Everyone at the table just stared. My dad looked like he wanted to sink through the floor. My sister wouldn't make eye contact with anyone. My mom tried to laugh it off, said something about how families fight, how emotions run high during pregnancy, but it was too late. They left 10 minutes later. The next morning their GoFundMe was gone too. But they weren't done. Not yet. Because in a few weeks the baby would arrive. And that's when they'd make one last desperate attempt to claw their way back into our lives. It would be pathetic. It would be public. And it would tear the family in two. My daughter was born on a rainy Tuesday afternoon, 2 weeks earlier than expected. It was quiet in the delivery room, no drama, no rush. Just me, my husband, and a nurse who kept whispering encouraging things like we were in a library instead of a hospital. She came into the world with a full head of dark hair and a scowl that made me laugh through tears. My husband cut the cord. I held her against my chest and whispered her name, and everything else. Every betrayal, every lie, every pathetic cry for money faded for a moment. We spent the first 2 days in a blissful bubble. My husband barely slept, bringing me food and water, taking turns holding her while I rested. His parents came by that evening. His mom cried holding her. His dad, who rarely said more than a sentence, whispered, "She's perfect." I waited to hear from my parents. Nothing. Not a single text. No call. No flowers. No cheap gift dropped off at the nurse's station. 3 days later we were home, and that's when it started. My sister posted a photo of herself holding a glass of champagne with the caption, "Some people pop bottles. Some pop out babies. Guess who's doing better?" My husband saw it before I did. He showed it to me with this look that was part disgust, part pity. I didn't say anything. I was tired. Hormonal. Trying to breastfeed and failing. My body still ached. But the real hit came later that afternoon. There was a knock at the door. I thought it was a delivery. My husband opened it and froze. My parents were standing on the porch. I was in the living room holding our daughter. My husband didn't say a word, just stepped outside and shut the door behind him. I couldn't hear everything, but I caught a few phrases. "We just want to see her. You can't keep her from us. This is cruel." He told them to leave. Not tomorrow. Not after a conversation. Right now. My mom's voice rose. I heard her say my name like she was calling a dog. That's when my husband opened the door again and called to me. "Do you want to deal with this, or should I?" I stood up, walked over and said, "No." They tried to lean past him to get a glimpse of the baby. I turned and walked away. They stood on our porch for another minute, then finally left. My husband stood at the window watching until they drove off. Later that evening my sister posted another photo. A blurry zoom-in of our house taken from their car window. Guess who doesn't let her own parents meet their granddaughter? That's when everything cracked wide open. An ad commented, "You weren't even at her baby shower. You've got some nerve." Another wrote, "Didn't y'all just ask for donations last month?" People started messaging me privately, sending screenshots. I got a call from a second cousin I hadn't spoken to in years, asking what was really going on. That weekend, my husband's parents invited a few family members over to meet the baby. My parents weren't invited. Neither was my sister. But someone, and we still don't know who, told them. They showed up halfway through the gathering. Dressed up. Hair done. Carrying a gift bag like that would fix anything. My husband opened the door, looked them up and down and said, "Turn around. You weren't invited." They pushed past him. I heard my mom's voice before I saw her. "There's no law that says we can't see our own granddaughter." That's when his mom stepped in. She walked straight up to them, blocked the hallway and said, in the most even, casual voice, "You had every chance to be part of her life. You chose wine and money instead. Get out of this house." For the first time in my life I saw my mother speechless. They left. Only this time they didn't just leave our home. They left behind what little dignity they had left. They were officially cut off. Not just from us but from the rest of the family. People chose sides. And almost no one chose them. But what I didn't expect was what happened a month later. They came back. Not to our door, not with another stunt. But with something that shook everything, including my resolve. It started with a letter. A plain white envelope in our mailbox with my name written in my mother's handwriting. The same one that used to scribble grocery lists and reminders on sticky notes when I was a kid. I recognized it instantly. My stomach turned the second I saw it. It had been a month since the scene at our house. Since they showed up uninvited, pushed past my husband and got thrown out by his mom in front of everyone. A month of total silence. No texts, no emails, not a single acknowledgement of their behavior. And now suddenly this letter. I let it sit on the kitchen counter for 3 days. My husband saw it and didn't say anything at first. The third night he asked quietly, "You opening that or should I throw it out?" I didn't answer. He didn't press. The next morning while he took the baby on her first stroller walk around the neighborhood, I finally opened it. It wasn't an apology. It was a guilt manifesto. She wrote that things had been overwhelming lately, that their financial situation was a result of stress and misunderstanding. She said she missed me and hoped I was doing well with the baby, like she didn't even want to use her name. She brought up old memories. My high school graduation, my college move-in day, like nostalgia was a glue strong enough to patch over everything they'd ripped apart. Then she dropped the line I'll never forget. "We're your parents. That means something even when you're angry." No mention of the baby shower. No mention of the stolen money. No responsibility. Just a vague sense of wounded pride dressed up like reconciliation. And at the bottom, taped to the paper like it was some kind of peace offering, was a photo of me as a toddler on my dad's shoulders. I just stared at it. I didn't cry. I didn't yell. I just felt blank. When my husband got home, he saw the open letter and didn't say a word. He just took the baby out of her stroller and walked into the nursery. A few minutes later he came back and asked me the same question. "So what are you going to do?" I said I didn't know. Because honestly I didn't. I wasn't angry anymore. Not in the way I had been. The rage had calcified into something colder, something harder to carry. But it also made me wonder. If they didn't feel remorse, what was I supposed to do with their silence, their fake regret, their performative sadness? The pressure started not long after. A cousin messaged me on Instagram and said, "Your mom showed me a photo of the baby. He's gorgeous. I'm glad you're reconnecting." I hadn't reconnected. A few days later I got a call from my aunt. She danced around the topic for 10 minutes and then said it outright. "They've been punished enough, Ella. Maybe it's time to let it go." My husband didn't know any of this at first. I kept it from him. But then I made the one mistake that opened everything back up. I sent my mom a photo. Just one. It was nothing special. A picture of the baby asleep on her blanket with her little hand curled near her face. No message. No emojis. I didn't even say her name. My mom replied less than a minute later. "She's beautiful. Can I come see her?" I stared at the message. My hands went cold. I didn't reply. I told myself it didn't mean anything. That it was just a photo. But the truth was I'd opened a door I wasn't ready to deal with. 3 days later she showed up. No warning. No text. Just a knock at the door in the middle of the afternoon while I was trying to rock the baby to sleep. I peeked through the blinds and saw her standing there with a small bag in her hand and this hesitant smile, like we were neighbors who hadn't seen each other in years. I froze. Then my husband walked in. He looked out the window. His face went pale. Then hard. He didn't speak to me. Just opened the front door. He said something. I don't know what, I couldn't hear it from inside. But he stood there, arms crossed, and let her talk for about 10 seconds before saying something back. Whatever it was, she looked down at the ground, turned around and walked back to her car. She didn't come back. That night, after we got the baby down, he sat on the edge of the bed and said, "I meant it, Ella. I love you more than anything, but I won't do this. I won't let her manipulate you. And I sure as hell won't let her near our daughter." I nodded. I told him I understood. But what I didn't say, what I couldn't say, was that I had already crossed a line. And once you cross it, there's no going back. The next time they came over, it wasn't unannounced. It was me who invited them. And it nearly broke everything. I don't even know why I did it. Maybe it was guilt. Maybe it was the silence after they left our porch the last time. Maybe it was watching my daughter sleep one night and wondering if she'd ask me one day why her grandparents were strangers. Or maybe I just wanted to believe there was still something worth saving. Whatever it was, I invited them over. I told my husband 2 days before. Just said it quietly while we were folding laundry. I asked them to come by. Just for a few minutes. To meet her. He didn't yell. He didn't even look at me. He just stopped folding, dropped the onesie he was holding and walked out of the room. That night he slept on the couch. He didn't say a word the next morning. He got up, fed the baby, took her for a walk, came home and kept going like I hadn't detonated something. When the day came, I regretted it the second I heard the knock on the door. My mom walked in with a soft smile, holding a small bag of baby clothes. My dad followed, stiff and silent, like he wasn't sure what he was allowed to say. They hovered just inside the doorway until I nodded toward the couch. She sat down like she owned the place. Like nothing had ever happened. My dad stayed standing, awkward and weirdly quiet, like he was waiting for a cue to speak that never came. My daughter was sleeping in her bassinet. My mom looked at her and said, "She's beautiful. Looks like you when you were little." Then she added like it meant something, "I've missed you, Ella." I said nothing. The visit lasted 11 minutes. My husband came home during the 9th. Walked in, saw them, stopped. Then walked straight into the bedroom without looking at me. My mom glanced toward the hallway and whispered, "Still mad, huh?" That's when I told them it was time to go. She didn't argue. She stood up, handed me the bag and said, "Next time maybe we can hold her." I didn't promise anything. When they left, the silence in the house felt thick. My husband didn't come out of the bedroom until dinner. I found him sitting on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall. He looked up at me and for a second I thought he might cry. But he didn't. He just said one thing. "You lied to me." I tried to explain, said it wasn't a visit, just a moment, just a chance for them to see her with their own eyes. That it didn't mean anything. But to him it meant everything. The next day he packed a bag and took our daughter to his parents' house. Said he needed space. I didn't try to stop him. I knew better. His mom called me that night. Said she loved me but she didn't understand what I was doing. Said I had every right to forgive. But not to risk everything for people who didn't care if they burned me to the ground. A week passed. Then eventually he came home. But something between us had shifted. He slept in the guest room. Spoke to me like I was someone he used to know. He still loved me. I knew that. But trust? That was gone. And my parents? They never asked to come again. Never called. Never sent another letter. It was like that visit was enough to satisfy their ego. To say we still matter. I didn't let them back in. Not fully. Not ever. But the damage had already been done. Not by them this time, but by me. I chose them even for a moment. And it cost me something I'm still working to get back.